Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is the Voices of Healing podcast, where we provide holistic solutions to everyday health problems from people who are experts and people who have been through it. So, welcome. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Tina Clark. I'm a intuitive Reiki master teacher out of the Charleston, South Carolina area, and we have a wonderful guest at the show today. Her name's Amanda Curry. She's a health coach and a somatic inner child coach. And there's so many different topics we can talk upon today, but I think that we're going to focus on mom rage, which I've asked her specifically that we talk about today. Before we get into it, I would love to hear more about you, Amanda, and your background and your work.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I'm excited to be here today to talk about mom rage. I feel like I have been through it and an expert in it now, in a lot of different components. But just to kind of rewind the tape. So my name's Amanda Curry. I'm traditionally trained as a physical therapist. So I have my doctorate in physical therapy. I don't necessarily choose to always highlight or have myself named as Dr. Curry, but it's there. And yeah, so for the first 10 to 12 years of my journey, I was purely in my own stuff, being a mom of two, having a partner for 16 years, and just doing my physical therapy thing, being in the supportive space of helping people in the hospital rehabilitate and recuperate. And it wasn't until my own shadow, my own mom rage, my own dysregulation really just came to the forefront that I couldn't put on the happy face anymore. I couldn't just keep achieving my way to happiness. And so it really, in 2019, was a time and space where the universe, God, whatever you believe in, just dropped in my lap this option of somatic inner child healing. And so after much analyzation and, prodding and questioning and all the things, I really dove into that, and that completely shifted how I support people now, and also who I am as a person, as Amanda Curry. And so now life looks like I do a little bit of contract work with pediatric oncology patients. I'm actually certified in oncology through physical therapy, but I also, much of my time is spent being a breathwork facilitator, really supporting moms and dads in this element of frustration and rage that comes up around partnership, kids, life. And I'm also a part of a certification program. That was the modality that I learned and created more depth and intimacy and connection with myself so that I could then teach others to do that. So I'm just really passionate about women tending to their inner fire, really being in the inquiry and the safety of their inner fire, and just seeing all of the things that allows them to access when they do have the ability to be with, support, hold this part of themselves that so much of us have been like, that's not allowed. We're not supposed to do that. We can't do that. That means X, Y, and Z about ourselves. So that is me somewhat in a nutshell.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And let's get more into what is mom rage?
Oh, wow. So mom rage is something that is multifactorial. And what the buckets that I have attempted to synthesize it down to is there are some internal factors and some external factors. External factors are a lot of the things that we can't necessarily change about our lives. So we do have kids. We potentially have a partner. We have real life. We have culture that has really conditioned us to relate with frustration and anger in a certain way. We have a culture that doesn't necessarily support moms, working moms that want to be more than just a mom. And we also have this external factor, although it happens internally, of hormones, of the natural shifts that happen in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, that happen after having babies while you are actually growing a baby. And so those factors alone, some of them we can modify, some of them we can tend to, but a lot of them is, can I be in the acceptance of this? Can I be that this is what life is? And what I get to do is expand my nervous system's capacity to hold that acceptance or that truth. And then there are a lot of internal factors. So most of these, before we become moms or are in partnership, we did a really good job of, a lot of us, coping or using coping strategies to keep these internal states at bay, keep the sensations low, keep the thoughts, feelings, limiting beliefs just kind of on the back burner or in the back of our mind. And the gift of getting into partnership and being a mom is that you no longer can hide. Like, they all come surging forth, and a lot of times all at once. And so the internal factors are really the ability to be with sensations, with your felt sense, as we call it. And then also to address the emotions and be with the emotions attached to those sensations. And then ultimately allow that to guide us in the direction of, what are these limiting beliefs that I have about myself, about mothering, about working out in the community, about having everything be perfect, me doing it all myself, there being a right or wrong way, addressing that, because a lot of that is the fuel that tips us over the edge on top of all of the external factors too. So it's very twofold, and it's really a pronounced increase in your flare of frustration and anger. It is not just, I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm disappointed. It is this fiery, burny rage that a lot of women find very unsettling or new or scary or questioning, what is this? So,
Yeah.
mom rage.
I feel like a lot of this is driven by hormones.
Some of it is. Yeah.
So I really feel like our hormones are in charge of things. And when you're in your teen years or your 20s, you're wanting to partner up. You're wanting to get married. You're wanting to have children. Some of us, not all of us, but I think that's driven by the hormones. And then, you're probably in your 30s, you're having babies, or you're taking care of little children at that point. And then the hormones are changing over this time. And then you hit your 40s and you go, I don't feel like accommodating that anymore. That's not working for me. Or I was okay with that in my 20s and 30s, but I'm not okay with that anymore. And I feel like that feeling gets stronger as you get older into your 50s. And so I don't even know what your 60s and 70s are going to be like. You know what I mean? But I feel like, in your 40s or 50s, you lose the hormones. And then you're like, well, what do I do now? I don't really have anything left in the barrel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the thing that I would offer to that is that it's very easy to, yes, I think that hormones are the catalyst, like they're the kerosene to the fire that's already there. And so a lot of people, what I have heard in spaces and what really saddens me at times is that there is this, oh yeah, it's just my hormones. And then there's no, but how do I support myself in the truth and the acceptance that my hormones are shifting and changing, bottoming out, surging, whatever. I mean, women that have a bleed every month, like, you have this opportunity to be with the gift of the shift of your hormones. So you can be, just at the whim of your hormones, or you can really, I don't even want to say take control, but be more in relation to that element of yourself, which is hormones, because it can be shifted and changed. Your relationship to your hormones and the way that your nervous system responds to your hormones, it can be shifted.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so, yeah, I'm a big believer in that, because I guess back in my 40s, I started experiencing PMDD, which is just extreme PMS, and just wanting to, it's like, if I could find a hidey hole and go in it, I'll be good, but I can't because I have children and a husband. That's not practical. And so one of the books that I am part author of is called Holistic Health Volume 2. And in that chapter, I talked about how meditation really helped me identify where that feeling came from. And the first part was, what am I feeling? And the feeling is, leave me alone. And then the second part was, when was the first time I felt like I wanted to be left alone? And
Beautiful.
then I realized where it came from. It wasn't serving me, and I really wanted to let it go. And so I was in a meditation class with a teacher, and she led us through this beautiful meditation that I still use to this day because it's so effective.
Yeah.
Especially for people who have so much. They're holding on to so much and they don't know how to release it. It's a great meditation for that. And when I did that, I felt like a different person afterwards.
Yeah.
And I no longer had that PMDD. So, I mean, I was lucky because I was able to release it all at once, but other times, sometimes it takes some work, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you have to peel off those layers
Yeah. Be with each stage.
and
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the rage comes from, all the pressure that us moms have, and being mothers or wives or caretakers. And so if someone is experiencing that, what can they do?
So I wouldn't even just narrow it down to just the pressure, because it could be 5 or 6 layers deep, like you talked about. It may be that you
Mhm.
come to meditation, you're like, I want to release and let go of the pressures of society. But at its core, 5 stages down, it could be, if I mess up, I will be punished. If I say the wrong thing, I will be abandoned. Love will be withheld from me if I don't know exactly what this person needs and do it in that timing. So understanding that, like, it's not, because again, with the hormones, we can outsource our power to, oh, it's just the pressure of society. It's just the struggle of women. It's just, what is it? The mental load of motherhood. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And you can allow yourself to be held hostage by those thoughts, ideas, topics, or you can look at, how does this drill down to me and my experience? What did I learn, or what was modeled to me, or what is the energy that I took on from mom and dad around these beliefs? And it's very similar. The way that you pieced out that meditation that you were taken through so long ago is very similar to the modality that I use. There are definitely some different tweaks, but like at its core, if you were to do the work, it is very similar to what you just said. And that's kind of the 400 or 500 level course of how to really move through mom rage, how to really move through the frustration and anger within. But the first things are to feel, like you said, what's there, and to notice what's underneath that, or what are the beliefs apart from what's out in the world that are within me that I'm holding, that are driving the need to have this fire, and then to compress it or dissociate from it or push it down or minimize it.
Right. So we can understand, the society or the culture that we live within, but we have to figure out ourselves. The only thing we can change is ourselves, really.
Yeah, be
So,
with ourselves. That would be,
yeah.
if you were to ask to actually answer the question that you originally asked, what would you have somebody do, is start learning how to be with yourself. And for a lot of people, it's not this higher order meditation. It's literally, can you sit still, close your eyes, or have a soft gaze for 5 minutes and just notice where your body is in space? Because for a lot of people, they can't do that, right?
Yes.
And so that's what I would say is first and foremost, is to get curious about what's keeping you from slowing down and getting still, and noticing the sensations that are present for you.
Yeah. And that's the somatic part.
Yeah.
So tell me more about somatic inner child, um, being a somatic inner child coach. What does that mean? And how, when you have a client and you're offering that service, how do you offer that?
Mm-hmm. So again, without getting into the whole method, it is based on the 5 stages of healing. And the 5 stages of healing allow you to not only somatically from the body feel into, move through, release certain energy, certain beliefs that are there, but it also allows there to be a mind body component, because people can do, and this is not to knock any of these modalities, but people can do breath work, Reiki, any sort of like tuning for like music, what is it called? Sound healing. Yes. Like
Tuning
any sort of
forks?
healing. Yes. All of that body-based work is amazing. but you actually need the mind to connect that contextually to what you're letting go of or what's present for you or what you learned. And so for me, it's about, with the mind-body connection, having a client go through these 5 stages of healing, which are awareness, acceptance, getting to the root, which is getting to the root of where these beliefs formed or were taken on. And then the biggest part to the inner child piece is this 4th stage, which is reparenting and rewiring. And then the 5th is integration. So really just to touch on the difference in the somatic inner child work is the root experience doesn't necessarily have to be like the defining moment that this was planted, but it is whether it's real or imagined, a scenario where your little one remembers experiencing this belief of like, if you are too loud, then people will think you're annoying. Or if you speak your truth, people will think that you are selfish or whatever it is. And so that connects you with your inner child, which again, you have to be connected to yourself to even connect with your inner child. And then it allows you to open up this circle or cycle of being where the beliefs and the things that were modeled from mom and dad are no longer your truths. So the reparenting and the rewiring gets to happen even if your parents aren't around, even if you're no contact with your parents, even if you have a great relationship with your parents. The ownership now with somatic inner child work is that you are your own parent. Like, you are doing the reparenting. You are going back in those times and spaces and opening up what was actually needed in that space. Instead of being yelled at for spilling a glass of milk or getting a bad grade or dressing a certain way or talking back, like, what did you need in that moment? And then from there, again, that creates this like energetic charge and the ability to release energy that was never for you to hold, and energy that maybe you use to keep yourself safe as a child, but that as an adult, you no longer need to use those strategies. And that's what I think a lot of people are very like, is that, yeah, you got to use that when you were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, but you don't have to check in on if you can speak up in a meeting now. Like, you don't have to check in to see if you can wear that dress. Like, that's for you to do your reparenting. So that is, in a nutshell, kind of what it looks like and can feel like and sound like to be taken through this method. But it is more than just connecting to your inner child with like a letter. It's more than like doing your favorite hobby or dressing up silly on a weekend or something like that. It's their experience and being able to reparent them and what they didn't get or what they needed.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I have not been certified in any kind of inner child therapy, but I have intuitively done it with my clients, and
Beautiful.
I have all of these steps. I've done all of these steps, but
Awesome.
My process is more clairvoyant, is that I can literally work on the heart chakra and see the inner child.
Yeah.
And then I will describe to the client what I see, what they're doing, and then I ask them to participate by having their adult self come and be with their inner child.
Yeah.
And spend time with them, and they can talk, they can hug, they could play, whatever the inner child's doing, you can do what they want, ask them what they want to do, and spend time with them. It's really powerful because no one ever spends time with their inner child, even though we all have it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I just got off a coaching call this morning with a small group from the certification program. And like, even people that enter into these certification programs, we all have like an opportunity to be more connected to our inner child's experience because they're with us all the time. Like you and I right now, there's an inner child within that's like, ooh, like I want to make sure that I'm not being too loud, or I want to make sure I'm not interjecting too much, or I'm really excited to be here, or whatever it is. So it's so pivotal. And I think the one thing that I want to speak to about your gifts is that there are a lot of people that either are my one-on-one clients or come into this certification program and they're like, yeah, I just don't have memories. I've been through too much. I've dissociated. I don't have that thing. And I truly believe that people can get to a space where they're able to reclaim and connect with those parts of themselves. But what I really love about people like you that have the gift that you have is that if people feel called to, I mean, kind of buddy up and get that support to get the conduit in, like you have that available to you. And I don't imagine that your goal is for them to always rely on you, right? You get to you get to be the conduit, and then they get to cultivate that within themselves. And so that's what I love, is that we heal in community, right? Like we don't have to do this on our own. This is from like a recovering lone wolf here, is that like, if you resonate and Tina feels safe, then like she gets to be your guide in this back to yourself, back home.
Right. So I guide them through it the first time, and you'd be amazed how people can really be guided into something like this. And even if they can't see anything, they'll feel it, or they'll know it,
Beautiful.
or
Yeah.
or if they're visual, they can visualize it.
Yes.
And then when we close out the session, I always say, now you can visit your inner child anytime.
Snaps to that. Yeah.
Right. And you can go into your heart, where your inner child is, and check on your inner child and see what they're doing, and do what, spend time with them and give them what they need.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because if your inner child is not happy, you're not going to be happy.
Right. Oh, whatever they're feeling is what you're feeling.
Yeah.
You're annoyed, they're annoyed. They're annoyed with you because you aren't paying attention to them, or you aren't listening to what they actually need. Like, they're throwing a fit. Yeah, they're throwing a fit because they've told you 12 times that they're tired. And now they're letting you know, and everybody else around them know, that like, we're tired and we're real angry about how tired we are.
I had a friend, she actually recently passed, but she would always talk about her inner children are screaming at her.
Yes, because there is a frame of thought that there are multiple versions. I think of it as one that just gets to morph into different time periods. But there was one time that, I don't know if it was a podcaster or a friend or something, that was like, well, I don't just have one. I have like a whole schoolhouse. Like I have a whole brood of children that are like trying to get my attention. So
I think I had a feeling that she had more than one, and she would be like, look, Tina, my inner children are screaming right now, and I have to, go take a nap, or I have to, we traveled a lot together, but she would say, I'm done. Like my inner children they're done. I'm going to go back to the hotel.
Yes. And I actually love that you're bringing that up, because one thing that I would love to share is, this is kind of a tool resource from my mentor, but there is this dinner party that can occur in your mind. And this is a really powerful journaling exercise. So write this down or re-listen to this if this feels supportive for you, is that anyone listening, is that the dinner party, there's typically 5 characters that show up. So there's the inner critic, there's the ego, there's your shadow, there's your heart, and your inner child. And so what spurred this thought on is your friend saying, I'm done. So that's the inner child saying, I'm done. So anytime that you're journaling out and you're like, who the hell is talking here? Like, what is all this? It's all disjointed, and there's all parts of me that are here. Again, the inner critic is pretty obvious of what that looks like and sounds like. And then the ego is, that elevated version of like better than, that protector really of the inner child. The shadow being what you don't want other people to know. But the biggest things that I have clients and that we're taught to really focus in on is the heart and the inner child. And so the heart, I want this, I wish this, I need this. That's the heart speaking. And the I feel, I am is the inner child speaking. So I'm so tired that like no one is helping me with this. Like I'm so alone in everything that I'm dealing with. I just wish that someone would blah, 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 blah. So the want, the wish, the desire is from the heart, and the inner child is how you're feeling. And so if you're ever confused, or there's this, crossroads of what to do about something, you get to go back to your heart and your inner child and listen to what's present and heed the need or the request from the heart. So I love that your friend was just like, I'm done. Like no more. It's like the little kid sign language, like no more, all done.
Yeah. And when we were in a group, the first tour group we were in, it would bother people when she said that. And I was like, that doesn't bother me. It means that she knows that this is all she can give today.
Yeah.
This is all she can do today, and she needs to go and, be alone now. It's not a
Absolutely.
reflection on anybody else. I didn't take it personally. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want you hanging around. If you're done, I don't want to see what that means.
Yes.
So just go and be alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And the
And look,
invitation to let people be in their experience. So if she's all done, you get to just let her be in, say you're in a tour bus, like a seat, and just be like, she's done. Okay,
yeah,
cool. I'm going to let her be in her, I'm done this. And then I'm just
yeah.
going to be in whatever's present for me.
But I love that. So the journaling exercise would be if you are going through something, or how would you use the 5 different people in the dinner party, like in a journaling exercise?
So you could do a couple things. If you had already written something out and you had like word vomited out and you're like, I don't even know what this is that I wrote. Like how do I synthesize any sort of information from this? You could go back through and look for and highlight or circle or whatever, like, oh, this is my inner critic showing up. Okay, this is my ego showing up. This is my shadow showing up. And maybe the shadow's there, the ego's there. Maybe it's just your inner child, your inner critic, and your heart. But the biggest things to hone in on, and I usually have people highlight in different colors, is like all the I want, I need statements and all the like I am statements, so that they're really deciphering through all of this mess of this thing that has happened. This is really what your inner child's feeling, and this is what they want. And so how do you tend to that?
That's so interesting, because I've always combined heart and inner child, and in this case it's separate.
Yeah. I think the heart more in this case is giving you like action items of like the need, whereas the inner child is giving you the state of the being, right? So and you can use it too if you haven't journaled on it yet, but maybe you feel really torn about ending a relationship or shifting in your job, or going to a get together with friends, like whatever your inner child is saying, like, I'm really tired. I'm afraid that people are going to be mad at me if I don't go. I really just want to rest. Like you're getting the answer that you really want and need from this journaling practice, instead of being like, I don't know why you have to like always take a break. I don't know why you have to rest so much. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just an hour event, blah, 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 blah. And then the ego of like, well, why didn't they even ask what was a good time for everyone else? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like it gets to kind of clarify and hone in on what's actually important here and what's actually being said.
Yeah. So I always say, because a lot of people get stuck and they don't know what to do. They don't know which direction to go if they're trying to make a decision. And I always ask them to reflect on how they feel about it.
Yeah.
And I always believed, just in my practice with Reiki and working with different clients over 11 years, that our soul is based on feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Not your feelings necessarily, but what you are feeling in your body.
Your soul communicates to you through feeling. So how is that connected to the inner child?
Beautiful. So, I love that you asked that question. It's such a great question. So what you get to do is, once you feel safe enough to slow down and check in, you get to orient yourself to this skill of interoception, which is like a noticing what's within your system. And what you get to do is, at first, it may not be like your heart and your inner child that's popping up. It may be like, I feel this heaviness in my chest, which may be my, inner critic. It may be my ego, right? And as you feel into the sensation of like the weight, the shape, the texture, the size, the temperature, the color, you notice that like maybe it wants to be moved or expressed in a certain way. And then usually what's underneath that, or what pops up in response to that, is the next level deeper. And so I remember when I was in the certification program, I was being supported and was in this realm of like, am I going to do coaching? Am I not going to do like, what's next for me? And all of a sudden there was this whoosh of like really, really strong emotion, but like sensation. And it was like whooshed over my body and then landed like a Mack truck on my chest. And it was the awareness, the knowing that you need to leave your job because you want to have summers with your kids and your partner that is a teacher. And but it's not until you create time and space and almost like follow the energetic breadcrumbs that you see what's 3 levels deeper, what's really at the heart, or what your inner child really wants to say is like, I want to rest. I want to play. I want to have space.
I feel like the first 3 personalities, the inner critic, the ego, and the shadow all distract us from the heart and the inner child.
1,000%. And you get to notice the distraction and really thank yourself for those parts popping up, because they're there for a reason. The inner critic is usually a learned limiting belief from mom or dad. The ego is your amigo. It's your protector. Like when your ego pops up, it means that something is very strong in your system, wanting to protect your inner child from something. So again, when it pops up, you're like, oh, wow, that's interesting. So instead of shitting on yourself, that like your shadow, your inner child, or your inner child, your shadow, your inner critic, or your ego's popping up, you use it as a data point of like, oh wow, like there's got to be something right behind that. So they get to be gifts too. It's not like that we have to, shame those parts that come out. They're there for a reason too.
Yeah, it's all information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to connect these two to the mom rage, a lot of what you're experiencing in your mom rage is an elevated sense of the inner critic, the shadow, and the ego, right? But there is always something underneath that. It is never just about the dishwasher. It's never just about the fact that you can't plan a date night. It's so much deeper than that. And so, those are elements of mom rage that are just very, very heightened and lack any sort of coping skill.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned about anger is there's usually an underlying feeling under the anger. It's almost like the anger is a distraction or a front for, another deeper emotion. And once you figure out what that is, the anger dissipates.
Yeah.
That's the magic of it.
Yeah. The psychology spaces call it at times a secondary emotion. And I think that it at times can be also like the tree trunk that is showing you down towards all of the roots of the rage, of the frustration, because it's usually so multi-layered. It has to do with perfection, but it also has to do with being hyper independent. It also has to do with being alone. It also has to do with being fearful. And all of those branches have limiting beliefs connected to them that you get to understand and own. Oh, wow, that was mom's energy. That was dad's energy. Like I get to reparent and unlearn that so that this isn't a part of my tree trunk, my system.
Yeah. The beautiful thing is about inner child work, and even if you had the crappiest childhood ever and you did not get what you needed or wanted, you are an adult now listening to this podcast, and you can parent yourself the way you needed to be parented.
Yes. Amen. We could stop the podcast on that. Just mic that. It's your responsibility. Yeah.
It's not too late. If you didn't get the nurturing you needed, you need to nurture yourself now.
Yes.
And a lot.
Yes. And if you're checking into this podcast and you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, no, but I have the big T trauma of the big T trauma. Like I have like stacks on stacks on stacks of trauma and my ACE score is off the charts. I want you to know that the certification program that I'm a part of, we literally just finished up with the intensive, that is the in-person intensive that's a part of that certification. And this group, God bless them, they are some of the most top-notch like healers, facilitators, counselors, coaches. But this is the largest amount of big T trauma that we've had. And 2 people individually or specifically have probably the most that I've ever had in the space. And those women in a matter of 6 days, moved from a space of being absolutely terrified about feeling, I have goosebumps right now, about feeling and experiencing and noticing and moving anger and rage in their system to a place of utter empowerment that like the world was their oyster and everything felt possible. And the fact that they could finally have the capacity to hold the anger and frustration that their little girl felt so that they could let that go and move throughout their system. So I can definitively sit here right now on June 25th and say that, like, even if you experience big T trauma and you have done pre-work, this is available to you too. This isn't just like, oh, I kind of had a hard time in middle school and my mom wouldn't read the book. Like, it's not just for that. It is for everyone.
So when you say big T trauma, what do you mean?
So the differentiation between big T and little T trauma, big T trauma is typically like very large, impactful, can be chronic, but doesn't always have to be, acute situations that you experience that are the form of, whether it's physical, emotional, sexual trauma, like experiences, relational things that happen to you. Some people say like big world events or catastrophic weather events, but it can be, yeah, any of those things. Whereas little T trauma can be more chronic stressors, like not having emotional needs met, or not being able to have a voice, feeling like you needed to be perfect. And these women, I mean, yeah, there was a lot there for them in multiple of those arenas.
Yeah. So if you're listening out there and you think nothing's going to make it better, that's never true. And you need to find the thing that makes it better. And you're saying that in 6 days, these women were able to heal.
They have paved, and they've done a lot of healing on their own. Don't get me wrong. Like, they've done a ton of healing. And they're both, one of them particularly is in the space that you are, Tina, where they are more of an intuitive. They are more of that like sage. They're just, they're in the ethers, right? Like, they are connected to source in a way that I may not be. But both of these women have not only done the work prior to this, but have opened up this new possibility of a level of healing that they didn't actually believe was available to them until they really harnessed their own inner core.
I love it. So what's the name of the certification program?
So it's Anat Perry, A-N-A-T is her first name, Anat, and then her last name is Perry, P-E-R-I. She created Training Camp for the Soul, and it is their certification program it's a trauma-informed 6-month certification program. She started as like just offering this to the general population as a healing modality. And then as she had like hundreds, thousands of people go through this program, people wanted to be like, I want to be able to do this for myself and for others. And so she created, we're on our 9th mastery cohort, created the bones and the meat of this. And I'm so thankful for her because, yeah, we wouldn't be able to experience this or be able to put out that specific modality if she had not. So,
yeah, beautiful. So Amanda, can you share a little bit about how people can contact you if they'd like to work with you and any new projects or books that you have coming out?
yeah. So I keep it really simple. I am on Instagram mostly. All of my stuff from Instagram gets posted to my Facebook, but I just found that like I want to be in communication and connection with people that come into my sphere or are really impacted by the stuff that I'm putting out on Instagram. And so a website just hasn't landed for me yet. I want to be in community with the people that are struggling with overwhelm, that are wanting to be more in and connected with their frustration and anger. So my Instagram handle is the somatic DPT. So that's my credentials. D is in David, P is in Paul, T is in Tom, the somatic DPT. And any new follower, you can expect a message from me. I always reach out and just thank you for the follow and want to know how you found me. So if you have questions about this podcast or mom rage in general or anything, I'm there. And I post all of my informative content there and any offerings that I have. I always make sure that the community is well aware.
I love that. So definitely check out her Instagram, the somatic DPT.
Very good.
And it's Amanda Curry. And thank you, Amanda, for this talk and this chat. I learned something. I have some things to ponder now.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
I love to journal. So, gosh, I could highlight all my journal entries for years now.
Right. What was happening in 2017? Let me see if I can find the ego in this. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So we have all these parts to ourselves, and it's normal, and It's to better understand ourselves in the end, right?
1,000%. 1,000%. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. This is so much fun.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda.
Bye.